I'm getting lost in the commotion and the sound is way too loud.
What's up, guys? Happy Sunday! It's episode 17 of Technical with Sharlit Elise. It's actually a pretty good Sunday because New York City is not icy cold like it's November, which is nice. I'm so glad we still have summer weather. But yeah, I don't know where you guys are. Hope you guys are having a good week. And we're on the cusp of the holiday season. That means you're probably already getting Christmas. Well, you're getting obviously Black Friday notifications now. You're waiting the next Steam sale and you're probably planning out your Christmas and all that stuff. So I know that's pretty popular with a lot of people. But yeah, as I was saying kind of before stream, I haven't figured out my Thanksgiving plans. I usually do. No, actually, that's not even true. I usually do nothing. I spend most of my holidays gaming. It's my true love. But I won't mind to do Friendsgiving. So we'll see. I'll poke some people to see what's going on. If that's something they want to do. I know one friend who would be down, so it doesn't have to be big. Anyways, so that's that. Actually, some big news happened this week. Not pertaining to me, but pertaining to this. Today, we're talking about the United States issuing the first AI executive order. This is a big step, and this is monumental in how AI is going to be integrated into society. And there's going to be a lot of key points. It's going to be a lot of data. There's plenty of opportunities to scrutinize that data or support it or whatever you want to do. This is an interactive show, so feel free to interact and chat and do all that stuff. Agree, disagree, all's welcome. Everyone's, have your own opinion on things. And the second topic, how rat infested is your subway system? Well, we'll hear more about that when we get to it, but I think the first big one, and it's kind of a lengthy thing because there's a lot of bits and bobs when it comes to this first AI executive order. So, AI, we've been talking about generative AI for months. I mean, since the inception of this show, which started during this whole AI evolution, this AI evolution, we've been hearing about falsifying scams, voice duplication, generative arts, generative music, like all this stuff could be copied. And it is kind of the Wild West. If you were going to do something bad, I hope, you got your kicks because we're cracking down, at least the US is. We're going to start cracking down and trying to control how explosive the societal impact of AI has been. So this past week in the States, President Biden has signed and issued the first AI executive order. So the main goals for this AI order is to tap into 7 big companies. That's Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Amazon, Anthropic, which is an AI company, Inflection, which is an employment support agency, and Meta, right? A bunch of big names there. I'm not as familiar with Anthropic and Inflection, but everyone else should be more familiar with the rest. You can always look it up. But generally, what the government is trying to do is to ensure that AI is developed with appropriate safeguards without hindering development and innovation, right? Like, because there's so many... Whenever you have like a breakthrough tool, like imagine what they did when the first, I don't know, like chainsaw was created. Like, right? People were like using it for logging purposes. And then they started, like you got like, I'm sure some people try to murder with like a chainsaw. It's like, it's always like a tool. It's not the best analogy. We'll get there. But the point is like, quite honestly, AI is a tool, and depending how you use it, could be bad, could be good. So far, it's mostly been bad. It's been harmful in a lot of fields. Gaming has seen a lot of people, or tech in general, has seen a lot of people let go because of AI. Everyone thought that an AI with large language models can replace people, the whole deal, right? So generative content, all that stuff is a problem. So a part of these safeguards, one of the safeguards they want to address is watermarking AI generated content. What's a watermark? A watermark is like, the logos that people sometimes put on like the bottom of a video or like a picture, just to let people know that that content has been AI manipulated, modified. So something like this could very much be like done also with meta tags, right? Because like, every single file, like we've talked about like meta tags and how Google plans to use that to flag AI modified pictures. Is this video AI generated? No, it's not. It's not. But it could be. Shit. It could be. Damn. I don't have to be here in the future. Give it a few years. I'll generate my own podcast and I'll like sit back and relax. What's up, Z? If we could only get AI to replace the jobs of the rich instead. I mean, the jobs of the rich is investing. Saurav, hello. Ohayo. So that's one thing. There's going to be a lot of points, so I'm going to try and speed through it. They want to, so when a lot of different companies start using AI to do their things, I'm not Japanese. I just say Ohio, and I say a lot of things from different cultures, and some are hit and miss. It's my thing, and I write it Ohio. Because I'm an Americanist. Yeah, so okay. So whenever like a new company is like trying to release, like do something with AI, so the government wants independent security experts to double check the work, just to make sure you're not like creating the next Skynet, like that's basically what they're saying, or doing something they shouldn't be doing. So they also want to create a reporting system for vulnerabilities. Let's say, and I'm doing off the top of my head, let's say you're like trying to use an AI to process transactions on your marketplace. You're starting a new marketplace, right? Like if someone found a way to utilize the AI to give out free products, then every company that uses AI will have to have a reporting system so that people could just tell you of a vulnerability, right? Specifically for AI. So it's not just like email the dude or whatever and hope that they read it, right? So it has to be like some way for people to communicate how vulnerabilities have developed in their applications. Another thing that the US government is trying to get is that all big companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all these Meta, like all these companies, to share the limitations and instructions on how to utilize the AI. So they want these vulnerabilities known. They want businesses to be friendly to share this information. Because if it's like because like whenever there's like a vulnerability, it's like, as a big company, if I were Google, I don't want to tell Amazon about this problem. I want them to like suffer the consequences, right? So it's kind of like trying to get all these companies to team up to a certain level. And that's going to be a big part of this whole initiative too. So there's a few other points, and I will give you basically what they're saying, and then I will translate it so it's more understandable. They want to regulate AI in just US or whole world. I mean, the way America kind of operates, it's like, I don't like how you're doing that. You should do it this way, right? So they will kind of want to be like the leading, I guess, role model and the leading factor when it comes to AI regulation, right? So, but the first thing we're going to talk about is protecting consumer privacy. So the government wants to create guidelines, right? A rule book for agencies so that they can evaluate privacy techniques used in AI, right? The whole idea is they don't want your AI taking more data than necessary. So the translation, don't spy on people too much, right? Like, because AI, they don't know the difference between what's necessary and what's not. They'll just collect data. They're like data sponges. That's what they do. So if you don't employ the proper limitations on your AI, it's just going to abuse your customer base. Another thing they want to use AI. Well, AI is going to be used for, this is actually two things. AI is going to be used in the justice system. So this, including when it's used in sentencing, right? AI could very well be on the way to making finer decisions when it comes to the justice system. Maybe it could process evidence more. Maybe, and then give the jury, like, I don't know, like their perspective. Like, so they want to get ahead of this. So they said, don't use AI to sentence time. Don't use AI to discriminate, because AI also doesn't understand discrimination and just regurgitates what's already out there. And sometimes it's, AI has hallucinations. That's what they call it. An AI hallucination is when they make up data, they extrapolate data, and then they create a false truth, and they just present that as truth. And we often just believe that stuff. So, Sarav says, so it's like nuclear stuff. They regulate it, saying they want to inspect, and they're the ones ending up dropping. Well, it's a big game, right? And AI is like the future nuke. Do I work with AI? I do use AI for some video editing. The AI's job is to create subtitles. Saves a lot of time. Do I make AI? No. I mean, in the future, I will have AI to make AI. So I don't technically need to know it right now. Everyone would be able to be a game developer in the future. So yeah, because you work as a data engineer. Have you toyed around with AIs? And is this a part of your work experience? And I know exactly where AI is heading. There's some good. There's quite a bit of bad. I'm for it in some cases. Are you for or against AI, Sarav? It's mostly bad. Is it cat girls? I guess if that's your thing, cat girls could be a thing. It could be a positive. It is mostly bad. But, that's where we're heading. And yes, we can't shut it down. We could abstain from using it, but that may set us really far back. It's kind of like when cell phones were becoming a thing. Most people didn't understand, why do you need a cell phone? Like, why do you need to call someone at any minute, right? And over time, we've come to accept it as a useful tool. AI is a lot worse or a lot more capable than just a cell phone. and that's why it's dangerous. People think generative AI doesn't exist, but it very well does. Yeah, generative content has actually been going on for a while, right? Like we've had like deep fakes for like several years, right? I think I haven't really looked into it. The whole idea of that is not very cool. Yeah. AI accessing the internet is probably the biggest way to advance it. Z says, how do we know people aren't just fleshy AIs walking around? Have you seen there was like these people that dressed as like robots and they were acting all funny like androids? They have like a bald cap and they're just like pretending like they're enjoying the sports, but they do it in an AI thing. It is human but fast. It's incredibly fast. So, but the whole goal of this commitment, well, all these companies, is to protect consumers, right? That's what this really is about, protecting people. Out of all these 3 points, like these, every single one has been protecting against privacy issues, civil rights issues, discrimination. Like all this stuff is worrisome, and that's why they're issuing this stuff. Mozart says, will Terminators destroy us in the future? Probably. I mean, we're going to use it to fight our wars, right? There's going to be less of a need for human soldiers. You're just going to have a robot that just keeps going. So, protecting consumers' health overall. Like, so what does that mean? According to the government, they want to direct the DOH, the Department of Health and Human Services, to create a program to evaluate potentially harmful AI-related healthcare practices and creating resources on how educators can responsibly use AI tools. As you know, like the healthcare is rough in the States already. If you don't know, like we have to pay tons of money just to, if we go into a hospital, that's several thousand or several hundred thousand. Like it's already harmful. So when you incorporate AI that will look at the patient's data, they can essentially come to a conclusion where, oh, we feel this person is accident prone and you should charge them more or less or whatever. Like, so on top of like sentencing people in jail, like they're getting ahead of AI implementation by setting these standards and informing healthcare professionals to use AI, but watch out for some like pitfalls. American medical system is the worst. Maybe we are in the matrix. Dude, I can't like download karate. I would love to download karate, just be like punching things for no apparent reason. I mean, I could still do that, but you know what happened? What happened when I punch things? Look at my knuckle. You might not be able to see it. Wait, you see the scar tissue on my knuckle? That's what happened when I go like bang. And then I got scar tissue. I think there's still a piece of glass stuck in my hand from when I punched something. I punched glass. It was dumb. Downloading, I don't know. I just want to download stuff to my brain. So let's say if you can determine someone is accident prone, charging them more it would be an unfair system. Might as well be a minority if we report and have pre-crime police force. Yeah, that's where protecting discrimination comes in, right? And risk assessment. Because this is what insurance companies already do, right? They're like, oh, you crashed your car once. Oh, you crashed your car twice. We're going to up your rates. That's what it's about. They're going to up your rates because by their assessment, you are accident prone. Good morning, Eno. So to have AI do that, they'll be more detailed about the way they kind of discriminate, right? So we'll see. Is it America the one testing chips in human brains? I don't know. Oh, well, no, that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not America, okay? A few weeks back, we covered a story where Elon Musk was testing electronics embedded into someone's brain, well, into monkeys. And the monkeys they didn't do well. They really didn't do well. They were depressed, angry, in pain. And then after that failed test, first of all, like poor monkeys, but he's like, hey, we're open to human subjects now. I'm like, what the fuck? Your test failed and you're just opening up to human subjects? But this is I almost feel like this whole thing is written for people Elon Muskish, you know? It's to protect us from mad scientists. Wait till Musk runs for president. 100%. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind he could run for president. No doubt in my mind he could do it. He's gonna change the U.S. He's not gonna call it the U.S. He's gonna call it USX. Because that's what he does, right? He just adds an X to everything or replace it entirely. I live in X and X on X. I live in the States and I tweet on Twitter, you know? Like that's what he does, right? Dude has some smarts for sure. And definitely a great business person. But if he's given the chance, he will change the fucking name of the country. Personally, I don't care. Actually, the United States does have like some bad stigma. Maybe a rebrand would work, right? What happens when like a mom and pop's shop closes down or like a restaurant closes down? They say new owners, grand opening, grand reopening, right? It's because, you blame the old owners, but it's usually just the same owners. They're just pulling tricks, right? But so like, why not for the States? I mean, you look at our gun violence, right? Like Japan had 0. And a few countries have 0. And then we have this year alone, I think we're at 560 mass shootings in the States. It's like, Jesus. He went to a Valorant event and got booed in public. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks for him. He's quite sensitive. If I were that rich and someone called me like stupid, I would buy their property. I would buy the property surrounding their house and play loud music all the time. Why feel hurt when I can do something like that? When I'm so rich, out of spite, I could buy all the housing around your home and just torture you. Sound violation. The cops come over. I have like one main control panel to disable the music. I'm thinking the same. Wait, is that good or bad? It doesn't matter to me, but that's how I feel, right? Says, I don't think Valorant players are of the voting age. True. Riot and Blizzard, they target younger players. It's terrible. Wow, what can you say? So, next up is supporting workers. Now, we talked about health. We talked about the legal system. We're talking about supporting workers. Yeah, Ram, I try to limit I have a new rule that I'm trying to limit every single tech talk to one AI topic. Because there's around 50 AI topics and sometimes 0 non-AI topics. Unless you want to hear about a unicorn startup selling out, like that's even less interesting, right? This week it's been pretty scarce, except for the biggest AI change in the States. So supporting workers, right? Supporting workers specifically mean don't let robots kill the job market, which is easier said than done. Right. So the government is going to report on the potential labor market implications of an AI, and they will study the ways the federal government could support workers affected by AI disruption. So for all you graphic artists who are, who've been let go, it's you're already facing the consequences, right? So I think that's like one of the first jobs the government needs to support, like AI generated jobs, right? Look at I think like ZDNet, right? So they pretty early on they started using AI to report to write all their articles. All right, they started doing that, and they got caught, and they end up deleting like tons of their stuff. And the problem with that is they already fired their writing staff. A lot of companies are doing that, thinking that AI is good enough. So, I mean, they're not going to hire the same people back. They'll hire new people. So the people who are already affected by AI disruption, they need support. Whether it's financial support, because trying to create labor has always been a thing the government's trying to do. And for the most part, they can't create labor outside of like construction things. They could put money into certain like companies to like keep them afloat so they could hire more talented staff, but through grants and all. But we'll talk about grants in a second. Eno says, until they somehow solve AI hallucinations, replacing human with AI is asking for it. That's true. But like, unless they do like a wide ban on AI, like we're going to get hallucinations. But I feel like hallucinations can be controlled. I'm not like a programmer. I don't know this stuff, but I feel like if you set the boundaries, so at least they don't hallucinate. Maybe they collect false data, but they don't infer anything. They shouldn't be doing any inference from data. They should show correlation, but they shouldn't be doing that much. Hey, Sarav, thanks for hanging out. Let's see. So yeah, supporting workers where AI is kind of taking over their jobs. People who work in warehouses, like those jobs are going to be threatened. I mean, Amazon has already lots of robots running around, right? You ever see Boston Dynamics? Boston Dynamics has been around for a long time, and they're utilizing these robots that show exceptional agility, right? Like flipping. Not every human can do a backflip, right? These robots can do it. Recently, they showed a robot dog that was able to open a door, and it sounds like super remedial. What do you mean open a door? It's a door that keeps closing. Like, one of those doors that automatically close on their own due to like, gravity and just how it's like designed. The dog like knew to pull the door open, put its foot in the door, and then like keep pressing the door. And then the Boston Dynamics team even tied a rope to the dog's leg and pulled at it, and the dog like struggled against the rope to get through the door. So yeah, like they're definitely going to be replacing even physical labor jobs pretty soon. So job market threatened. So what are some good things when it comes to this new commitment in the US? Did I finally become a president? I mean, nowadays, I think anyone can, right? Welcome to Charlotte's house. I'm going to take a page from Elon Musk. I'm going to call it X House. Souse. We're going to need a whole lot of laws and regulations before AI advances too fast. This is the first step. I think there's going to be more. It's not comprehensive enough. All they're talking about is reporting, studying, sharing information. There's no hard rules where you can't use AI in this field. So we were talking about labor, talking about employment. The U.S. government wants to promote innovation and competition. So they will be providing AI grants that are not for profit. So I think we should address like not for profit agencies. When a company or agency is not for profit, that doesn't mean they don't charge money for their services. They charge enough to keep the workers working, to continue to do the work, and to build to bigger and greater projects sometimes. So the government is providing AI grants for companies or agencies and things like climate change, right? This is going to benefit more people because who's snatching up all the AI processing power? It's the big tech companies, right? Trying to make the next social media or make the next standard for AI generation and stuff, right? Like that's where all this power draw, all this data is being processed for. It's for these things. So they kind of want to do that for better reasons. It's a nice hope. The grants, so I used to work for a nonprofit, and grants, AI grants, having AI grants will give more grant writers a job. So there are people, it's where all they do is write proposals to whatever government agency, government field, to get money for these nonprofits, right? So if you want to employ like AI, there's money in that, right? And the grant itself, to clarify, the grant is kind of like a quest. If you achieve the quest criteria, you get money for it. That's really what it is. And it could be something as simple when it comes to like grants, as simple as like make 2 events quarterly telling people about the uses of AI, instructing people how to use it ethically, right? Like that could be an AI grant. And then the government would give you like 10,000, per quarter or something. So nonprofits, the way they stay in business is they have multiple grants going at the same time. So that's where the money comes from, and it's all put back in mostly. So they also want to keep highly skilled immigrant workers with AI talent in the US, right? So this is not exclusive to AI. If you have like a very, very like prestigious architect that does some really great work and they come over to the States to do a project, like the government wants to keep them here. Basically, they want to steal talent, right? So they will have money specifically for these people to stay in the States and contribute to our economy. So that's part of this like grant and innovation and stuff. And then the last 2 points, the first of which is working with international partners. This is where it gets kind of tricky, right? So all this time, we've been talking about regulating ourselves, and if you're not in the States, the US. Now they're talking about working with other countries to establish standards around the world. Right. So earlier, you guys asked, is the U.S. like trying to make this a U.S. only thing, or they're trying to like tell the world what to do? And they're working with other partners. Right. So what's going to happen if the U.S. tells North Korea, for example, how to use AI? What is North Korea going to do? They're going to tell you to fuck off. If they don't tell you that, they're going to work on the AI, under a table, right? That's going to be basically, that's going to happen. That's always going to happen, right? Governments like China, they're already like super advanced with AIs, and they're trying to make their own thing. I mean, the way China has been doing things with apps and platforms, they make a clone of every other platform. Not because like they just want to, but they make a clone so they could control information. And that's, it's kind of deceptive, right? It's like, oh, you could have YouTube, but we're not going to let you have YouTube. and we're going to make our own YouTube, and you're going to use that. The regular lines of communication is also difficult. Only certain apps work in China. I don't know specifically which ones, but like they're definitely going to work on stuff under the table, right? Regardless of what they say. I believe Russia's going to do the same. I mean, Russia could barely, get their shit together, but I feel like they're working on it. Like it's so easy to just assume this because it's the new nuclear weapon. It's the digital nuke, right? will be a digital nuke. So I guess the TLDR for working with international partners is make sure other countries don't make secret AIs before us. Because I also feel while they say this, I also feel like the U.S. government, not our government, but the U.S. government will secretly work on AI. They publicly state it, and everyone is lying. Have you seen that meme with leaders, Putin and the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-il, I got them all mixed up. Yeah, like, did you see that? Thank you. Did you see that meme where they're like toasting each other and they're like, yeah, we're partners. But then they didn't like drink. They're both looking at each other and they don't trust each other to drink the champagne or whatever they toasted, and they just put the cups down. Like, that's exactly what's happening, right? Like, so as much as we want people to cooperate, people are gonna do weird shit. What's up, Capu? Mozart says, I heard the ones with advanced automation plus super AI and quantum computer will have power to totally lock the development of our countries or regions. I mean, it could simply be a DDoS or something, right? Like whoever gets the big military AI should be able to launch enough attacks to stem the other countries from like developing a stable AI, right? Like that could be possible. I don't know. I am not a military expert. I just shoot people in video games, but it's very possible. For now, only China and US will have all the three I know. Z says, I clicked the wrong video on YouTube and now my algorithm is just look at our glorious humanitarian leader, Putin. I mean, the guy's kind of a dick, right? Don't get me wrong. Before this whole like Russia thing, right? I kind of liked Putin only for the memes though. Like, him riding a horse was like badass. Him like firing a gun was badass. But if you look at like how he carries himself, it mirrors North Korea. Like it's their whole dictatorship type of like vibe. They want to be seen as a god, right? So anyways, we're getting off track. So secret AI weapons, probably in development. Wide Putin? I've never seen that one. I've seen dumb Putin. Yeah, for sure. I've been seeing dumb Putin for like a year and a half. 2 years? Is it almost 2 years? Or is it a year? I don't know. My sense of time is pretty bad. The final point is developing guidance for federal agencies and procurement. The government wants to hire more people skilled in AI. Why? Because they're going to be utilizing AI for a lot of government operations. If the results are accurate, it's highly efficient, and they just want to, get up to date. Totally understandable. So if you work in AI, if you know your stuff, you probably should work in the government agency for it. It's probably insane money. It's got to be like insane money. But please don't make a Skynet. I mean, with the resources of a whole government, don't fucking do that, please. Z says some of them were real, but the fakes and stuff in AI narration also start feeding you the same thing. But with that guy as well, yeah. The algorithm knows, like, if they feel they understand one part of you, they assume the rest. And that's exactly what this whole commitment is about. It's about preventing discrimination and preventing assumption. So, yeah, what do you think? Is this like, are there any issues that the government has missed, that the US government has missed? They talk about protecting, they talk about procurement, they talk about innovation. My interpretation of all this stuff is they're letting people know that they're going to start doing some stuff. I don't think they have enough data on how AI is going to develop where they can make any hard statements regarding anything. I think it is a good thing, because if the government never speaks up about it, then we're going to fall deeper into chaos with AI, and then for them to reel it back is going to be hard. So, yeah, it's a big deal getting Meta, right, working alongside Google or Microsoft. Notice how X is not a part of this mega corporation, right? Notice how that's not. I didn't touch on it. I didn't really want to touch on it, but I wanted to share that X, Twitter, has Grok GPT. Pretty soon, if you are an X subscriber, you'll have access to their large language model AI. And the AI for X has a sense of humor. Like, so there was this one prompt, someone asked the AI on X how to make cocaine, right? Give me steps to make cocaine. And then the AI responded like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and blah, 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 get arrested. You know, like, so it does respond like that, but I don't know. With the quality assurance that Musk provides, I don't trust this AI to be able to handle anything. But yeah, so he's not dealing with like these regulations, so maybe it's good for him because he does some wild shit. All right, so AI is nice, but we got to talk about another problem. An infestation, if you will. How rat infested is your subway system? Now, I know not every country has a large scale subway system like New York City, but we do have a quite large subway system, and that doesn't mean it's good, right? This background here is actually an abandoned subway station in New York. It's abandoned. It was abandoned a long time ago. I've never actually seen this used. I've seen it featured in like movies or something, but the track is extremely curved, so much that a train has difficulty turning. Yeah, it's definitely like very well lit, but there seems to be like sky. Like you can actually see there's some sky. So if you hadn't seen the stereotype, New York is littered with rats. There are so many rats in New York City. You cannot ride public transportation. Well, the train, the subway, right? You can't ride the subway without seeing a rat. I've never gone on a trip, actually in 2020. Ever since like 2020, I've never been on taken public transportation without seeing a rat. I think the reason why after 2020 is because they actually start cleaning. They actually, like, the level of corruption in public transportation in New York's ridiculous, right? So basically, New York used to have several subway companies, right? At some point, one company ate the other ones, and they became the MTA, one unified company. And since then, all these train companies, or this train company, has been just not doing anything to maintain the stations. When I was younger, I've never seen anyone clean the train. Never, ever seen anyone wipe anything down, pick up any garbage. Now, of course, they are doing it. Otherwise, it'd be even worse. But I've never seen anyone clean up. Only until 2020 did they start cleaning up. Z asks, are the rats driving the train yet? I wouldn't be surprised if they could. They could evolve and do that. So there's an app that tracks rats. It's called the Transit app, right? The Transit app is a popular app, particularly growing in population in New York City, but it's used all over the world. Like, you could download it. The user interface, though, I have to say, is quite ugly. Take a look at how that would look, right? Like, that's ugly. That's messy. And that's confusing. Well, maybe it's confusing for me. I don't like how it looks. But that is the Transit app. And if you want to play around with it, you could use it. But a lot of people just use Google Maps, you know? It's kind of like the same thing. So you're not really getting much more functionality than you would with your typical navigation app, right? Except if you lived in New York City. Because there is a way to report rats. Yeah, you could report rats in New York City on this app. So the usual stuff of what this app does is fully functional, but this additional feature allows a user to select a station and then a rat icon will appear, right? It's a smaller icon. It's not like the main feature of the app, by the way. And it tells you, or it allows you to report the rats, and it tells you how many rats, not the number of rats, but how many reports this station has received. I tried to test this app, and in my testing, I have not seen any rat indicators. Okay. I'm sure it's there, but I've not seen any rat indicators. And there's also a ranking system for all the stations in New York. They're a cheap workforce. They take payment in cheese. They take payment in good food. I don't think cheese is enough for rats now. I want to find a correlation between good restaurants and rat populations. There's got to be something there. I was hearing that, Z says, I was hearing that they don't know how bad the rat problem is with how old the city is and how deep some of the old structures are where nobody goes. I think they know. I think they just can't find the money because, you know, corruption, right? They do the bare minimum. When it's like, because when it's super serious, all of a sudden they can clean up. But when nothing happens, there's no cleaning being done, right? Like, a station should be cleaned daily. It should just be cleaned daily. A train should be cleaned daily. That's how other like countries do it, but they don't do it here. Someone needs to make reports. Yeah. The app relies on users to report it because they don't have people like sitting at the stations like, oh, one rat, two rat. They have like a clicker and they're just like watching the tunnel. 3, 4, 5. They're not doing that. So they're tapping into the social network, right? Because this app, this transit app, has like a social aspect to it. The more you report data, it's kind of like Yelp, right? Like, the more you do, the higher your account level. It's all social engineering, and it works. And I guess that's fine, but, you know, not everything has to be gamified, right? Z says, I need 3 more mega yachts before you take care of the rats. Really? Just 3? Just 3 with the amount of money they're stealing in corruption in New York? 3 mega yachts? We should take you on as the head of the MTA. So this feature, from the data collected, the transit app has posted this data for you to consume. Rats are reported on 40% of subway trips. So you need to take that into account. Not everyone's going to report. Not everyone is going to bring up their phone or tab out of whatever they're doing on their phone to open an app, to click an icon, to report it, to pinpoint the location, and then like submit. Like, not everyone's going to want to do that. But 40% of subway trips. I don't know. I think that's just lucky. I see a rat. It's not like I see a rat in the same place. That's the thing. I mean, I'm walking on the sidewalk and rats are just like running across. Broad daylight, like broad daylight. They are like kind of the new pigeons. I actually don't see pigeons as much in New York. How many people are going to notice the rats? They get pretty large. They get pretty large. They're not like a cat or anything, but they're pretty large. Like when you could hear the footsteps of the rat, then you know that shit's too big. That shit is way too big. Okay? The rats ate the pigeons. Yeah, it must be like a turf war. Can someone like quickly develop a game, rats versus pigeons? It's all like New York City streets. They could like copy the city layout. Like I'm sure there's a New York City map in City Skylines. Just like copy that model and then create a level. It's a rap battle. Oh yeah, of course, it's New York, right? Rap and they have Timberlands on, which is I doubt that's still a thing. That's such an old meme, but yeah. So according to Transit App and the reports that they received, they said that New York City rats are most active around 2 a.m. I think that's where most activity is kind of like ends in New York. Like most people, they stay up to 2, they drink. Obviously, there's people who stay out longer. Ravers, like 2 a.m., where like that's when we start. So maybe that's why I see so many rats, right? Because, when I stay out, I really stay out. And I encounter rats like just doing rat things, nibbling things, smelling things, building their home. Like these rats have infested a lot of things. When it comes to subways, though, they are huge when it comes to tunnels, right? That's obvious, right? And places with stations that are elevated. I'm not sure if you have stations near you. Maybe you just drive all the time, because I know New Yorkers that don't take the train. They just fucking hate it. They just drive. But there are quite a number of stations here in New York because the city layout is so inefficient that they have to build a lot of elevated stations. And that's a little harder for rats to like navigate, right? Because they have to climb stairs and, so they basically stay ground level. They're lazy too. Okay. And they seem to prefer Manhattan and the places with the most food, which is pretty much Manhattan. Manhattan has a lot of nice spots to eat at. So the Transit App has collected data on the 3 rattiest stations in the city. And these are the stations. Now, if you're not familiar with the stations, and I am not even familiar with these stations, and I live here, here's a picture. This is where the rats live. These are rat fortresses. I call them fortresses. They didn't use that term, but that's where the most rats are. And it's really hard to see and decipher. But the TLDR is that these lines have a relatively similar connection, right? So if you look at 1 and 2, that's all connected. And then the line comes down and swings by to 3. So what can we take away from this? This is probably where the most food spots are. And in fact, I feel like I should have looked up restaurants in these areas, because if the rats decide to make a home here, the food must be really good. It's either the food's really good or the restaurants are really dirty. Probably a little of both, right? Like you can't get rid of rats, but you could convince them to move elsewhere if you keep everything neat and clean. So it really depends. There's so many factors. Maybe that's just where the most food waste is. Yeah, that could be too, right? Maybe let's think about it in a positive light. Maybe this is where the most generous restaurants in New York City's reside, right? Maybe their portions are so big and you get so much for your money that they have high rat populations. Capu, thank you for the sub. Maybe Pied Piper lives there. Oh, dude. That should be a movie. Pied Piper, like a supervillain. He's not gonna be a superhero. And he just like, I'm sure you could make anything like any movie now. You just give it like a dark tone. Make him like this badass. And I don't know. I don't know if he still wants to play a flute, but I don't know. Maybe give him something else. But yeah, it could totally be a superhero or a supervillain. Z says, I got a new life plan after the AI takeover. Fight the rats for the food scraps based on this map. Dude, that's actually pretty funny. Right? So the rats, I don't know. I don't know why they chose these places. I mean, it could also be great housing for them, right? Like, it's probably rent controlled and all that stuff. Rat-proof trash cans. I wonder if they already have them. No, they don't. And plus, like the thing with New York City, if you haven't been in a subway in a while, a lot of times the trash cans are just filled to the brim. Like there's so much garbage on New York City streets that almost every trash can you see on the end of city blocks are filled. They're so overfilled, anything you put on top would just roll on the floor. They're having rat-proof trash cans would be nice, but I don't know. I think we just learned to live with it. I'm not even afraid when I see a rat. Now, if it runs at me, yeah, I'm a little scared. If it crosses my path and I'm like, I'm walking here, like that's all. Like, I don't really mind. Pigeons aren't that bad, but pigeons have a lot more balls than rats. They will walk through you like you don't fucking exist. So let's all prepare by playing Vermintide. Yeah, Vermintide is actually perfect. If you don't know, Vermintide is a Left 4 Dead clone that where you kill rats. Giant rats. Rats that probably have eaten in the best restaurants across New York City. So I think that's everything I got for today. If you want to check out the app, you could always download the transit app. If you want to keep tabs on the AI situation in the States, feel free to follow the channel, all that stuff. I think we're definitely going to hear and talk more about AI. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum because quite frankly, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of tired of AI. And I'm kind of tired of talking about their privacy issues. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today when it comes to the tech stream. I'm going to roll into a gaming stream.